Okay, ready? Chapter 20. After Samar left, I felt restless. Restlessness is not a useful quality in a tree. We move in tiny bits, cell by cell, roots inching farther, buds nudged into the sunlight. Or we move because someone transplants us to a new location. When you're a red oak, there's no point in feeling fidgety. Trees, as I said, are meant to listen, to observe, to endure. And yet, just once, before I said goodbye to the world, what would it be like to be something other than passive? To be an actor in the stories unfolding around me, maybe even to make things a little bit better. Bongo, I said softly, are you awake? I am now, she grumbled. I have a question. I'll get back to you first thing in the morning. How does friendship happen? Bongo responded by snoring. I could tell it was a fake snore. Her real snores are so loud, they scare the baby opossums. I'm serious, I said. Bongo groaned. I don't know, it just happens. But how does it happen? Friends have things in common, Bongo said. And there you go. You answer in 5 words. See you in the AM, pal. I thought about her reply. But what do you and I really have in common when you get right down to it? With a loud exhale, Bongo flew to the ground. Okay, I'm thoroughly awake now. Thank you very much. What's this all about? Just an idea. Here's an idea for you. Ideas are a bad idea, said Bongo, especially if someone is in a busybody mood. I'm looking at you, Red. Back to my question. Why are we friends? Okay, fine. Let me think on it for a minute. Bongo walked in a slow circle around my trunk, considering. I love the way birds move, so unlike trees. We bend with the wind. We're graceful and unhurried. Birds, on the other hand, move in flits and twitches. Their heads whip from side to side, as if they just heard astonishing news. Bongo paused. Well, to begin with, you're my home, and I'm your tenant. But that's not really a reason for us to be friends. I've had residents I'm not particularly fond of. That squirrel, what was his name? Squinch? The one with the bad breath. It's not important. Knew it was Squinch. Bongo, I said, please focus. Bongo gazed up at me. We're friends because we're friends. Red, isn't that enough? Her voice was small and sweet, not her usual get to the point crow tone. You're right, I said. But suppose 2 people needed to be friends. How would you make that happen? Maybe get them together doing something. They yak, share a laugh. Voila, friendship. Am I right? I don't like it when you hmming leads to ideas. Okay, you can go back to sleep, Bongo. Thanks for talking. You're a good friend. Likewise. Bongo flew back up to her nest. Hey, be sure to let me sleep in. Bongo, now what? One more thing. Why do you think people can be so cruel to each other? It's not exactly like the rest of us are angels. Last night, I saw Agnes eat a whole lizard in one bite. Agnes, the barn owl, who lived with her nestlings in my highest hollow, flapped her wings in annoyance. Hey, a girl's gotta eat. And you're a fine one to talk, Bongo, she said. Is there anything crows won't eat? My point, said Bongo, is that the world's a tough place. Doesn't matter if you're a bunny or a lizard or a kid. With that, Bongo started snoring, for real this time. But I was still wide awake. "Ma, what's that horrible noise?" came the startled voice of a baby opossum. "That's just Bongo sleeping," her mother replied. Bongo had been right. I was hatching an idea. She always said I was a busybody, not to mention an optimist. An optimistic busybody. Well, there are worse things. Trees are strong, silent type. Unless we're not. Chapter 21. "Bongo," I said early that morning, as the last stars faded like weary fireflies, "there's something I need you to do." "Does it involve potato chips?" Bongo mumbled. "No. Then I'd rather sleep. It's about Samar. You promised you'd let me sleep in." "I didn't promise. You implied." "I want to grant Samar's wish." This roused Bongo. She fluttered down to her favorite branch, the one she nicknamed Home Plate. Bongo likes to watch the kids play softball at the elementary school. Red, you don't make wishes happen. You're the place where wishes go. You're like a leafy garbage can. In a good way. For 216 rings, I've sat on my roots and listened to people hope for things. And a lot of times, those wishes never happened, I'm guessing. Bongo tucked a feather into place. Sometimes that's for the best. Remember that kindergartner who wanted a bulldozer? I'm passive. I just sit here watching the world. You're a tree, Red. That's the kind of job description. This is a good wish, and it's a wish I can make happen. I paused. Well, we can make it happen. Yeah, I had a feeling that's where this was going. Bongo glided to the ground. Look, I've heard Samar's wish. How exactly are you going to find her a friend? You'll see, I said, hoping I sounded more confident than I felt. Red. Bongo paced back and forth. With each step, her head bobbed forward. We've got more serious issues, pal. Francesca's talking about turning you into toothpicks. And your residents are frantic about where they're going to move if this happens. She came forward and nudged me fondly. Of course, they're worried about you too. I know that. Fresh baked bread poked her head out from under the porch. It was barely dawn, and the only white stripe running the length of her face was clearly visible. I've offered to take in one of the tree families temporarily, she announced. Preferably the opossums. They're better behaved than the yews. That's very generous of you, Fresh, I said. I was interrupted by Big U, the mother of the 3 raccoon babies. She was in my large hollow, grumbling under her breath. I beg your pardon, she exclaimed. You, and you have excellent manners. They're too inquisitive, said Fresh Baked Bread, always poking their nose where they shouldn't be, grabbing things with those little paws of theirs. Well, at least they don't stink, Big U cried. And your children have paws the last time I checked. Harry Spider, the mother opossum, peeked out cautiously from her own hollow. Here's a picture of the mother opossum with her babies. Opossums name themselves after something they fear. Stink is in the nose of the beholder, said Harry Spiders. And while I personally think your children have a delightful odor, Fresh, I've already got dibs on the woodpile 2 doors down. Should anything happen to dear Red. She patted me. No offense, love, just thinking ahead, you know. No offense taken, I assured her. I saw that pile first, Big U cried. Share the skunk den, Harry Spider said. I wouldn't be caught dead in that place, Big U exclaimed. Not now. Not that I know my inquisitive children aren't wanted. Well, they are a bit boisterous, said Harry Spider. At least my kids have spunk, said Big U. Your kids faint when they see their own shadows. Playing possum is Useful adaptation, said Harry Spiders, her pink nose twitching. The world is a dangerous place. And in any case, we can't control it. It just happens. If I may interrupt, came a cool voice from my highest branches. It was Agnes. There's a nice-looking linden tree 2 blocks away, just vacated by a gray squirrel family. We're looking at it as a possibility. But there's a tomcat that runs loose there. Collar, no bell, so that's an issue. Also a big slobbery dog. See the dog? Collar, no bell, so that's an issue. Also a big slobbery dog. In fairness, all dogs are slobbery, Bongo observed. And here's that big slobbery dog. I really think you should all calm down, I interrupted. Let's not buy trouble. One day at a time, my friends. Who knows what tomorrow may bring? The mothers glared at me. I heard a great deal of sighing. Too much wise old tree, I asked. Too much wise old tree, Bongo confirmed as everyone retreated into their homes in a huff. They're all a bit tense, Bongo said. Worried about your situation. I can see that. They're all a bit tense, Bongo said. Worried about your situation. I can see that. I'm worried too, Bongo said in an almost whisper. I know, I said gently, but every cloud has a silver... Red, Bongo interrupted. Sorry. There must be something I can do, Bongo said. You're a good friend, Bongo, but sometimes all you can do is stand tall and reach deep. Red? Sorry, I said again. What will I do without you, Red? Bongo said softly. You'll be fine, my friend, I promise. We both fell quiet. At last, Bongo shook herself, feathers fluffing. In any case, maybe not the best time to be granting wishes is my point. Seems to me this is the exactly right time, I replied. Bongo groaned her little old man groan. She knew I wasn't backing down. With that, we began to plan.
Chapter 22. We executed plan number 1 an hour and a half later when Stefan headed off to school. He'd gotten only as far as the sidewalk when Bongo dove straight towards his backpack. Poking at the zipper with her beak, she cawed fanatically. When crows want to be loud, they can be extremely loud. What, Stefan cried, is wrong with you, bird? He dropped his backpack to the ground. Bongo landed on the backpack, looking up at him hopefully. Chip, please, she said. Stefan rolled his eyes. Seriously? Hello, Bongo said. Chip, please. Stefan put his hands on his hips. Okay, fine. I've seen you in action, working the bus line. Bongo hopped to the ground as Stefan unzipped his backpack. You rock, she said politely. Stefan pulled out his lunch bag and opened it. Let's see, I've got a tuna fish sandwich, carrot sticks, but before he could say anything more, Bongo plunged into the backpack, grabbed a sheet of paper, and flew skyward. Hey, that's my English homework, Stefan cried. Come back here, you thief. Bongo flew high into my branches and landed with a victorious caw. Stefan stalked around the bottom of my trunk, where the yellow police tape encircled me. Please, Crow, he pleaded. I'll give you my whole sandwich, please? Bongo perched on the paper, freeing her beak. No way, she replied. A few more minutes of grumbling and Stefan gave up. Great, he muttered as he grabbed his backpack. Miss Kellerman is never going to believe me when I tell her a crow ate my homework.